Hey everybody, TJ back with a little video I wanted to do today. I wanted to make a video covering the differences between BIOS boot mode and UEFI boot mode, specifically pertaining to installing Arch Linux. So I'm here, I have VirtualBox open. I'm just going to create a new VM. I'm going to call it Arch. And I'm going to move this to somewhere else, somewhere with a little more space. We're going to make a new folder here called VM. Select that folder, and then we're going to go /arch. We're going to give it 4 gigs of RAM. We're going to give it create a virtual hard disk. That's fine. That's fine. 8 gigs is probably plenty for what we're going to do, so we're just going to do that. Alright, so here we have Arch Linux, our basic virtual machine. We're going to go storage, we're going to go add a disk, add Arch Linux. This is a fairly recent ISO. And we're going to get choose. So that'll be that. That's going to be where we boot to, and then we're going to install. And if we go here to system, we see this this option right here, which is enable EFI, which will enable booting in UEFI mode. And the main difference is if you're usually going to be, if you're on an older system, say like a ThinkPad, or like an older ThinkPad or an old laptop that someone gave you, like I have an HP ProBook 4520S with a first gen Core i5 in it, and it does support UEFI boot mode or EFI boot mode, but it's like it was in beta at that time, and so the default boot mode is BIOS boot mode, which is what you're going to get if you leave this ticked off. It's also known as legacy boot mode, and there's some differences in the way that you install an operating system, specifically when you install an operating system that you're doing mostly from scratch, whether it be Arch Linux, whether it be Gentoo, whether it be Linux from scratch, etc., etc. So we're gonna go through this in BIOS mode, in legacy mode, by leaving that Arch or that enable UEFI or EFI ticked off, so that we start in BIOS legacy mode. And hit start, and the VM's going to boot, and it's probably going to be on the wrong monitor. Oh, no, it's not. Imagine that. And here we see Arch Linux install x86 64, because this is a 64-bit VM, obviously, because the Arch ISO is 64-bit. Arch Linux install medium x86_64 for 64-bit. BIOS is BIOS boot mode. And I'll show you later that when you boot into UEFI, it looks different. Your bootloader menu thing looks different. Alright, so we're here. We're booted into the live environment, and you can see we're in /root of the base Arch Linux install environment. So now I'm going to move this over here. I'm going to bring up a new Firefox. Bring it over here. I'm going to bring up the Arch Linux installation guide, because this is the official way to install Arch Linux. Okay, we've acquired the installation image. We've prepared the installation medium. We have booted the live environment. We are right here at this. I'm not going to worry about the keyboard layout because that US is my correct keyboard layout. So we have right here to verify the boot mode, list the EFI vars directory. So we're going to copy this command, Control-C, Control-V. Oh, I can't do that. Nope, I can't copy through the VM. Okay, ls/sys/firmware/EFI/EFI vars. And because you see there it says no such file or directory, I would show you, but my mouse doesn't go over there because VM things. It says right here, if the directory does not exist, the system may be booted in BIOS or CSM mode, which is CSM stands for Compatibility Support Module. It's just compatible with older systems. Again, because this BIOS legacy mode is in older, or is usually used in older systems. I'm not going to worry about the network because I'm in a VM. I know I have network capabilities. And so then we just start right into the Arch Linux installation by using time date set-ntp true. Yep, and then we do, I'm not going to worry about checking it because I know how it works because it did an error. So we're going to go fdisk, not fdisk, fdisk-l, or list the disks. So we have loop 0, which is the loopback. That is not important, but the one we are interested in is fdisk, I again can't spell, /dev/sda. /dev/sda is the device, the drive that we made for the virtual machine. As you can see right there, it says disk model VBox hard disk. Enter, or hit enter, fdisk/dev/sda. Welcome to fdisk. Device does not contain a recognized partition table. Okay, this is the first point at which, excuse me, at which the Arch Linux installation guide gets a little fuzzy. Excuse me. If you are in BIOS mode, you, and hit M for help, we need to create, in BIOS mode, what you generally want to do is you want to create an MS-DOS partition table. So we're going to hit O to create a new empty DOS partition table. And then we're going to hit P to print the partition table. So then we see we have disk dev SDA, disk label type DOS. And we're going to, so if you're in DOS, if you have a DOS partition table and you're booted in BIOS mode, you only need one partition. So you want to do fdisk. Oh, we're already in fdisk. Just kidding. You want to do N, I believe, for new partition. Well, P for primary. 1 for the number 1. Leave the default, and then the other default will be the end of the disk. So we just made the entire disk one partition of type Linux, which I don't think we need to change. I think that's fine. Yeah. So, yeah. And again, this is in BIOS mode, and then there are options here for UEFI mode, but it's very it's unclear. It just isn't very clear how this. I mean, it is a little bit if we come down here to example layouts, but again, this doesn't explain why. I mean, I don't really understand why either, but it doesn't explain the difference very well. So now we just do W for write and quit, I believe. Yep, so we've written, and then if we do fdisk-l again, now we can see that we have disk/dev/sda, disk label type is DOS, we made a DOS partition table, and we have, see it, device/dev/sda1, that's the partition 1, and it is the full disk. There's one thing I didn't do that we need to do. I did not. I need to do A for toggle. I need to make that bootable. You need to make sure that that main partition is bootable. And we also need to change partition type. Oh, no, that's not what I wanted. Change partition type to... Oh, just kidding. Okay, 83. That's fine. It can be Linux. Okay, W for write and quit. Now if we do fdisk, no, not fdisk. Just kidding. If we do fdisk-l, we can see that SDA is marked as bootable. So then what we need to do is we continue on with the, I didn't create a swap partition. I'm not going to worry about it in this VM. I've given it plenty of RAM. So then we need to make the file systems and format our partitions. So we go make mkfs.ext4/dev/sda1. That partition is now written to that. Then we go mount /dev/sda1. Oops, I can't spell. dev/sda1 2/mnt. Now that's mounted. I didn't make a swap, so I'm not going to worry about it. There are a couple things in here. Like this right here is, as far as I'm able to tell, is incorrect. And I'll cover where you should actually mount your UEFI system partition when we do UEFI. But again, this is just BIOS, legacy mode, base, MS-DOS partition table. Yep, so I think we're done with our disk at this point. So we're gonna go, at that point, we're gonna go packstrap. Oops, I was in the wrong file. Packstrap for just installing our base packages, /mnt. We're gonna go base. We're gonna do base-devel. Linux. I like the Zen kernel over the base Linux kernel. It just seems more stable and more compatible with more software. -firmware. And we're gonna go Linux -headers as well. And if you were doing this on like a laptop or something where you needed internet access in the following stages, because after you reboot, because the internet access will remain in this live environment, but once you reboot into the system, you will need either like network manager or something. But for this first one, I think, I am going to do nano as well, so I have a text editor that's not Vim, because I don't know Vim very well, so that I can edit things like /etc/hosts and other things. Is there anything else that I need? I'm trying to think. No, everything else I think we can do once we're rooted, once we've changed root into the system. Yeah, so it covers these files here. Text editor, I mean, that should be just in the list. You should just have nano and pre-installed. It should be. Anyway, these are very useful, the man pages and the man DB for the man page database. I highly recommend installing those. Again, software necessary for networking, such as you could do IDBD and DHCP-CD, which is if you want a fully terminal based for at least for wireless network access. You can do network manager if you want the classic, usually pre-bundled Linux networking. Network manager comes with a lot of distros. You can do, let's just see, you could do ifconfig. You can do, there's a way to do it through, yeah, you can do it through systemd. You just do it through networkd or networkctl. You can do it through WPA supplicant, I believe, is an option. Anyway, there are many ways to do your network configuration. All right, now that we've installed those programs, I think that should be all we need. So we need to do a genf stab -u, and you should. I like to do -l because it's more readable for labels. You can see here, use -u or -l to define by UID or labels respectively. You should, as general practice, do dash capital U for UUID because that's because that is static and it won't change. Whereas if you do it by labels, if you like change your disk or it gets unplugged or hard reboot could maybe do this, your device labels can actually change. Now, it's not a big deal in this VM, so I'm just going to do it dash U just because that works. /mnt2 /mnt /etc /f. Oops, I put an extra space in there I shouldn't have. Okay, that's done. And because we're in a VM, I'm not that worried about it. It should have just worked fine. Okay, now arch. Again, I can't spell -root /mnt. Okay, now we're rooted into the new system. And again, I can't spell. Cool, here we are. So now we need to set the time zone. ln-sf /user /share /zone info / and for me, my region is America and my time zone is Denver. 2 /etc /local time. Cool. So that's done, and then we run w clock --sys ohc. That's done. Then we do locale. Oh, we need to edit. Yes. So again, if you didn't install nano, you would have to do a pacman -S nano right here, so that you could edit your /etc /locale.gen file. We're just gonna go page down in here a couple times till we get the en-us-utf8, and then Control-S, Control-X to save and close. Now that en_us.utf8 is uncommented, so that it will it'll work when we do locale-gen. And then we need to do touch /etc/locale.conf to nano /locale.conf. We need to add lang equals en_us -8 s Control-X for save and exit. And then not going to worry about the keyboard because I didn't change it. So we're going to do touch /etc/host name. And then we're going to nano /etc/host name. We're going to call this arch test. Control-S, Control-X. That's just my lazy way of doing it. Nano supports, I'll just go back into that. Nano does if you like change something. If you hit Control-X to exit, it'll give you an option to save. But I just do Control-S for save and then Control-X for exit. Okay. Yep, so we did the hostname file and then just clear the screen. Complete the network configuration. You should also, I don't know if this is actually necessary, but you should at least open /hosts, and you should at least make 127.0.0.1 equal to, or no, just kidding, not the host name, local host. You should at least do that. Put that in your etc/host file. That 127.0.0.1 is localhost. Don't worry about the init ramfs because that's not usually a problem. And then set the root password, passwd. Oh, in the wrong screen. Passwd. This is the root password. We're just going to make it my usual password. Cool. So now we've basically reached the end of the Arch Linux install guide. But what we're going to do right now is we're going to at least do this part here. Choose and install Linux capable bootloader. This part also varies based on whether or not you have mounted or if you have booted in BIOS or UEFI mode. So we're going to do a pacman -S. We're going to install grub. We're also going to install AMD-microcode because I have an AMD CPU. Okay, I've forgotten, is it microcode-AMD? No. Oh, it's AMD-ucode, that's right. Okay, I have an AMD CPU, so we're going to install the AMD microcode, as it says right here. And we're going to install grub. Okay, and you can see right here where it says optional dependencies for grub. The fourth one down there is EFI boot manager. And we are not going to install that on this one because, again, we're not booted in UEFI or EFI mode. We are booted in BIOS mode. And we're not going to worry about OS-prober because we're not multi-booting. So that should be all that we need. Now we need to do grub-install --target equals. Now if this is, again, this command varies. So if you're in UEFI mode, your command will not be this. We are in, I also can't spell grub. We are in BIOS mode. So your command is going to be grub-install --target equals i386-pc. And then you're going to do /dev/SDA. That's not SDA1. SDA1's our partition. SDA is our disk. You're going to do grub-install --target equals i386-pc because we're in BIOS mode. That's going to be your target flag. And then you're going to, the device is /dev/SDA. Now, this should work. Installation finished, no error reported. Okay, do not reboot at this point. If you reboot right now, you will be met with a weird, wonky grub. You have to do grub-mkconfig grub-makeconfig-o /boot/grub/grub.cfg. And this will automatically make the boot or the grub configuration file. Let's set that up. At this point, we can now reboot. We can exit the root and then reboot. So let's reboot the virtual machine. And we're going to go to boot existing OS. And here you can see we can boot now into Arch Linux. And that is a successful, complete Arch Linux boot. Now, we don't have any users or anything, but we can log in as root. And I typed everything wrong. And we can log in as root, and here we are. Where are we? Oh, we're in /root. That makes sense. So at this point, you would want to go on and do make user, and then do a bunch of pacman, and install your programs and everything that you need. But at this point, this is a base, fully installed Arch Linux BIOS mode install. It's done. We can do whatever we want to it. We can throw Kitty Plasma on it. You could throw GNOME on it. You could don't do that. You could throw DWM on it and configure it to your liking. Whatever you want to do. That's a full, complete Arch Linux install. Now we're gonna go back to. We're gonna close this out. Power off. We're going to clone this virtual machine. We're going to call it Arch 2. We're going to go, no. Back to, where did I put that? I put it in here, right? PM. Yep, we're going to go to here. We're going to go to /Arch2. And, okay. Full clone. Yep. Just going to clone that drive with that everything. It's going to take a minute. This is going to clone the installed system. I could have just created a new one, but I figured this would be easier, but apparently it's going to take longer because it's copying everything. This cloning process is also useful for, say you do that, say you go through a full Arch test install and you want to test 4 or 5 different window managers, but you don't want to have one big virtual disk that has them all, or you want to test out different configs or what have you. If you create an install and then you clone it a bunch of times, then you have different installs you can test this on, and if you break it, oh no, you can go to a different clone, and then you can keep that base, this one that we've created here, this base complete Arch Linux install. You can keep it around and you can just clone off of it to make new test installs. I don't know why this is taking so long. Can I cancel this? Yeah, forget that. I'm just gonna do a new one. Arch 2. And usually VirtualBox is pretty good at guessing what type and version your VM is going to be. We're going to give this one also 4 gigs of RAM. I'm going to create a virtual hard disk. That's fine. It's all fine. Okay, that was so much quicker. Why didn't I do that? Anyway, then we're going to go into settings. We're going to go into storage. We're going to add the Arch Linux disk like we did last time. Then we're going to go to system, and we're going to enable EFI. So this system will be booted in UEFI mode. And when we start it, you'll be able to see that was weird. But you can see here that this shell looks a little different, doesn't it? Or this is not a shell. This interface is a little different, but as you can see, Arch Linux install medium x86_64 UEFI, because this one is booted in UEFI mode. Alright, so I'm just going to run through this install. I will touch on the points that are different, but everything else I'll just breeze through. Where's my mouse? It's gone. Here we go. UEFI does generally take a little longer to boot, which is kind of odd. Not really sure why. But again, UEFI mode is going to be used for like more modern devices. For example, just recently I bought a Lenovo IdeaPad 3, and I used Windows on it for about 5 minutes and then was infuriated and gave up and put Arch Linux on it, because Arch is the way. I use Arch, by the way, if you haven't guessed. So here we are, back in, everything looks exactly the same, right? But if we do that ls command again, this ls-sys or /sys/ firmware not firmware /EFI bars. See, now we get output from that command. So we know if the command shows directory without error, the system is booted in UEFI mode. And again, we know it's booted in UEFI mode because we told it to boot in UEFI mode. But if you aren't sure when you just plug your USB into your machine or whatever, that will tell you the system is booted in UEFI mode. All right, connect with the internet. We're not going to worry about that again with the VM, so that's not a problem. Okay, we're going to do the time. All right, here's, again, remember I said that your disk partitioning is going to vary whether or not, or whether you're in BIOS or in UEFI mode. So in UEFI mode, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to do fdisk, I'm on the wrong screen, fdisk /dev /sda. Again, that's our disk. That's our virtual disk that we have in the virtual machine. And for UEFI, you're going to want to go, and then for help, we're going to want to push G to make a new GPT disk label. I'm going to go into new for a new partition. Partition number 1 is going to be from 2048 to, you're going to go plus. This says here at least 300 meg, or maybe 300 megs. So we're going to do plus 300 capital M for 300 megabytes. And then we're going to go 2. For this one, we'll make a swap partition. N for new partition, 2, whatever. We're going to make a 512 megabyte swap partition. And that creates the partition as type Linux file system. We're going to change that in a minute. But right now, we're just creating the partitions. So partition 1 is the EFI system partition, and that is needed for Grub to work properly. It needs a booty partition. I don't know why. And then we made a swap, and then we're going to go N for new, 3 for that, enter for the default, just to give the rest of the drive to the root partition. Yeah. We're going to format the partitions. We're going to go, we're going to write that and quit because that's done. That's fine. We're going to go make file system. Just kidding, that's not done. We're going to go back into fdisk. I forgot to change the partition types. So we hit P for print the partition table. So we have SDA1, SDA2, SDA3. SDA1 needs to be, we need to go T for change of partition type. Change partition 1 to, we need to change it to EFI system. So we're just going to do 1 because that's option number 1. It needs to go to EFI system. And then we're going to go T for change of partition type. Number 2, this is our swap partition. You can just type swap. That'll change that. And then you go write for write and quit. And written and quitted. Okay, now, this is where I've found the Arch Linux installation guide is a little wonky. So, pay very close attention to what I'm about to say. Now, we need to do make file system .ext4 /dev /sda3. Our main root file, we're just going to make that extend4. We're going to do make swap /dev /sda2. We're going to make our swap. That's done. Now, for this, because we create this right here is important, this warning here in the installation guide. Only format the EFI system partition if you created it during the partitioning step. If there was already an EFI system on the disk, reformatting it will destroy the bootloaders of other installed operating systems. If you are dual booting, do not format your already existing EFI system partition. No, don't do that. It will break everything. Alright, so, but since I created it, I'm going to format it for FAT32 using MKFS. Nope, not clicking the right thing. MKFS .fat space -f space 32 /dev/sda1 because that's our UEFI system partition. And that has done that correctly. Now, this is a little bit incorrect. So again, pay very careful attention. We are going to mount /dev/sda3 2/mnt, and we're going to go swap on /dev/sda2. So our main file system. I forgot how to words for a minute. Our root file is mounted and our swap is mounted. Now it says here for UEFI systems, mount the UEFI system partition to /mount/boot. That is incorrect. You want to mount, at least for the current state of grub, you want to mount /dev/sda1 to /mnt/boot/ in all caps EFI, which it says it does not exist. So we're going to do make dir for make directory /mnt/boot/EFI. Okay. Okay. So you're gonna have to make them /mount/boot, and then you're gonna have to make them /mount/boot/EFI, and then you're going to mount /dev/sda1 to /mount/boot/EFI. Now that will be mounted correctly for grub to work. Right, now we're gonna do our same packstrap command we did earlier. Packstrap. Linux base dash -sin dash headers and Linux dash firmware and I don't want to run through. Should only take a minute or so, if even that. Also, apparently when you boot in UEFI mode, your window's a little bigger. I see here it's installing sudo, which is important because I forgot to mention you should probably install sudo. And I'll cover setting up sudo in another video. Alright, I'm just going to do all this other stuff until we get to the grub portion of the video. So I'll be back. Alright, and we're back here to this point. We've done the password, and we now need to install grub. Oops, wrong screen. Grub. And since we're booted in EFI mode, EFI boot manager. We also need to, what else did we install? Oh yeah, AMD-U code. And yeah, that should be it. You should probably also install sudo, but I think that comes with the Linux Zen kernel. Yep, so now here we are. And now we need to do the grub-install again. We're gonna go grub-install --target --target equals x86_64 -EFI. Then you want to go --bootloader -ID equals grub_UEFI, and then that should be it. Installing for x86 UEFI platform. Installation finished. No error reported. Now, I believe, I have not tested this for a while, but this is the only way I could get this to work without erroring. is using the /boot/EFI all caps and mounting that first partition to it. The way that the installation guide tells you to do it is to mount it to /boot, I think, just straight up to /boot, and I don't know that it works. See this right here? For UEFI systems, mount the UEFI system to /mount/boot. I don't know that that works. I couldn't get it to work in my previous tests, but this is the way that it works for me, is you mount it to /mount/boot/caps EFI. And then you just do that, and then don't forget to do the grub-make config. Oh, I'm in the wrong freaking thing again. Grub-make config to /-o for new /boot/grub /dot grub. It's not a dot file. /grub.cog. And then we can do Control-D to exit the root, and then do reboot. And it reboots right into grub. Arch Linux. And again, this is with the Zen kernel just because that's what I like. Works for me. So it says right here, you can substitute Linux for a kernel package of your choice. I like Linux-Zen. You should install base-devel if you want to do anything from the AUR. That's a requirement. And you should install Linux-headers just for... It contains some more useful stuff. That's not included in the base package. This is taking a long time to load. I don't know what I did wrong. I hope I didn't do anything wrong. I'm gonna shut this down and try again. Oh, yeah, see, that time it worked fine. I don't know what the deal was. Yeah, so here we are. Just again, I can log in. To root, obviously, you would need to make users and go on, carry on, and carry on. But that's a base Arch Linux install. Both in BIOS mode and in UEFI mode, and the differences between the two, the differences in how you need to partition your disks, and the differences in installing grub to make it work, etc., etc. And yep, that's gonna do it for me today. Till next time, this has been TJ installing Arch Linux on a VM, of course. Maybe I'll do it on bare metal one of these days when I get my capture card set up and everything. But yeah, until next time, this has been TJ. I'll see ya. Bye.